Mesha McDonald. The editorial, "The Truth of Black Lives Matter," was written in the New York Times and published September 3, 2015. I'm going to tell how the editorial should use more evidence to support the main claim, and also how the editorial should broaden its limitations to not only the Republican Party, but also the Democratic Party by providing evidence to back it up. The main claim of the editorial is the Republican Party is trying to make the Black Lives Matter movement sound like an anti-white expression. Although I agree with the main claim and subclaims stated in this article, the writer could provide more evidence to support its claims. The writer lists one example of how the Black Lives Matter movement is being demonized by the Republican Party. Evidence in the editorial, the Republic states, the Republican Party and its acolytes in the news media are trying to demonize the protest movement that has sprung up in response to the all-too-common police killings of African Americans in the country. Evident in comments by politicians like Governor Nikki Haley of South Carolina is to cast the phrase Black Lives Matter as an inflammatory or even hateful anti-white expression that has no legitimate place in the civil rights campaign. All other subclaims are supportive of the editorial but do not offer much support to the main claim. The author goes on to tell what the point of the movement is and why it is important, but it does not further prove the Republican Party is trying to damage the name. Further expert evidence would be useful in backing up this claim and help support the story. I have done some more research to support the main claim made by the writer. Guardian Staff and Agencies writes, the Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie said on Sunday that Black Lives Matter protest movement was creating an environment that could put police officers at risk. Speaking on CBS, he said, I don't believe the movement should be justified when they are calling for the murder of police officers. He also accused President Obama of supporting the movement and encouraging lawlessness while not backing up the law enforcement. This was expert testimony, a piece of evidence that further supports the main claim being made by the author of the editorial. Other subclaims and evidence made in this editorial does not directly support the main claim. One subclaim found in the article states, the movement focuses on bringing an end to state-sanctioned violence against African Americans and acts of racial terror. This does not support the main claim. Although it supports the overall message of the editorial, more direct evidence in the main claim would make this editorial stronger. I do not feel the writer covered the complete story with the claims made in this article. Some evidence was provided to back up the main claim, but I feel in order to accurately report this story, it was necessary not to just single out one party when both parties play a role in discrimination. After doing research of my own, I found that not only the Republican Party thinks negatively on the subject, but the Democratic Party as well. The Republican Party tried to twist the meaning of the Black Lives Matter movement, but the Democratic Party is trying to avoid association with the movement altogether so they won't lose votes. Writer for The Hill, Shermichael Singleton, reported, while it's unlikely Democrats will lose the stronghold with the black voters in the 2016 presidential election, the Black Lives Matter movement has become a hurdle that the Democratic Party. As such, Democratic presidential hopefuls have been careful not to align too closely with the group. The next piece of evidence I found was the risk of turning off white progressive voters because of their alignment with the group could become a problem for Democrats, forcing presidential hopefuls like Senator Bernie Sanders and Clinton to strike a careful balance between the relationship with the group and white progressives. The author of this article writes as though it's only the Republican Party who is against the movement, when in reality, now that the 2016 presidential election is coming up, the Democratic Party is also trying to avoid contact with the group in order to keep or gain votes. The more relevant point that should have been presented in this article is that both parties are looking down on the movement and for their own political reasons. As Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors said in a piece she penned for the Washington Post, Democrats have milked the black vote while creating policies that completely decimate black communities. All in all, I feel the author didn't do a good job of providing enough sufficient evidence, and I don't think they hit all the key points of the issue.